Hi, I'm Eli Walls, and this is my official coming out video. So I'll start from the beginning of where I was in high school. So at first, before coming out as non-binary, I came out as a lesbian because I was like, girls. So I'll start at the beginning. I have a notebook. So, um, when I was a kid, I was never really. My family is super conservative Catholic. Like, I went to Catholic school literally my entire life from pre-K till senior year of high school. So my family made sure that I wasn't exposed to like something that didn't fit the super conservative Catholic agenda, like the LGBT community, um, like anything that deferred from their norm that the Bible talked about, and like cisgendered straight people, you know. So I didn't know anything about that people liked their same sex. You know, I had no idea about like trans people or anything like drag or anything like that. I wasn't exposed even to like media. I wasn't exposed to the fact that like intimacy or anything like that by watching TV or anything. Like they made sure that I didn't watch like any TV except for like shows that they would want me to watch, like some select shows on like Nickelodeon. Anyway, so I was never exposed to anything but what my family had taught me with like religion and the Bible, and I was super, super like brainwashed and followed exactly everything they said because that's what kids do. Is like when you're raised with your parents saying stuff like that, like you follow that. So I super homophobic. I mean, when I eventually learned about the LGBT community, I became super homophobic, but I'll get into that. So I never was exposed to it until volleyball. I started like volleyball in a club and in like sixth grade. And that's when I got influences from other groups. So my little Catholic bubble, like other groups of like girls from across where I lived that didn't have the same background as me, kind of started introducing me to like stuff that wasn't my circle and stuff that I didn't know about. So the topic of like homosexuality and um, even intimacy came into play there. So I didn't know what the word lesbian meant or anything, but there was times like I got like accused of being a lesbian like when I was with them. I never understood even what lesbian was. I was like, what? I'm not lesbian. Like, I'm not lesbian. But anyway, um, yeah. So I never really felt like I could relate to the other girls. I don't know if this has to do with this probably has to do more with like my being trans, but I still felt like disconnected from other girls in the same way of like, I'm not straight. Like, I don't get that. Like, I don't like guys. Why are they talking about guys so much? Like, they're boring. So, so yeah, I didn't feel connected to them. I remember I had like crushes on people, but I didn't realize it was a crush. Like, I had a crush on this girl. Oh, I mean, she's never gonna see this, but this girl, Dawn Duong. I was in sixth grade, or I think I was in seventh grade. She was in eighth grade. Actually, even less than that. I was in I think I was in fifth grade and she was in sixth grade. But I remember I was like, wow, why do I want to be her friend so much? Like, I always want Dawn to like talk to me, and like I want to go up to her and talk to her, but like I'm nervous because like maybe like she's so cool, you know, classic. So I was like, I was confused on why I always like wanted to be their friend, gay. Um, and also there was like this other girl in volleyball at like this camp that I was super into, and I would like always want to like sit next to her on the bus. We would like bus around to the beach and stuff, and like I would always want to be like next to her or talking to her, you know, or like be her friend and like feel accepted by her. I was very baby gay and I didn't know what I was doing. Anyway, so in high school, I went again to a Catholic high school, and I started to learn about the LGBT community with the different people there, because there were people like me that came from like a K through 8 Catholic middle school, elementary school, but there was also people that came from like public schools, so they had more exposure to like not the Catholic bubble. So I got friends that knew a little bit more about like the world instead of just like the Bible like bubble. But I fell into the wrong crowd, really. Not the wrong crowd in the sense of partying, but the wrong crowd in the sense of like homophobia and not acceptance, and like people that were very fake and I couldn't trust them. So I wanted to be straight because, like, I mean, I didn't really know that I identified as a lesbian. So, like, I wanted to make sure that I was doing what the other cis straight girls were doing. So I got a boyfriend who was my friend, at the time, my friend, like one of the people. That was her ex-boyfriend, and so that was a whole thing, and they were really mad at me and like didn't invite me to a party and blah. Just like a beach party, not any drinking or anything. Anyway, so I got the boyfriend to fit the norms, and then he was my first kiss, and I remember distinctly how wide open my eyes were when he kissed me. I was like, why is this so lame? Why are his lips so hard? It was basically, in the sense, I'm just saying I did not enjoy it when he kissed me. I was just like, and this is nothing on him. He's a great dude. But I personally, my gayness, I did not enjoy. But I stayed with him for like, I think it was a 2-month period, because it was like the summer, so we would never like saw each other or anything. But anyway, so that was my experience with a straight relationship. So no, I'm not a gold star lesbian or anything. That was the worst. And then I realized, why don't I like that like my friends do, where they like fawn about their boyfriends and stuff like that. So that was kind of like the first telltale. Like, I mean, of course there's other like obvious telltales, but that was one of them. So then I started sophomore year, and I spent a lot of time with this one girl, who, she was like my best friend at the time. We shared a lot of the same interests, like same interests as in like Adventure Time and like certain animes we would watch together. And then like I spent time at her house, and like she talked to me about, she has like a bunch of big dreams with like movie production, stuff like that. So she like talked to me about that, and I kind of fell for her a little bit, but she did not feel the same way, because she just didn't. And I was like, well, damn, like, that sucks. So I was like struggling with that a lot, and I was like, damn, I gotta tell someone other than her. And I told her that I was like gay. Like, that was the first time where I was like, okay, I think I'm gay because I don't like guys, but I'll come out as like a full ass lesbian just because kissing that dude was not good. So I was like, I gotta tell other people. And I was like, oh, well, my mom's mean to me. Maybe my dad will be nice, because when I was a kid, like, my mom would yell at me and like be mean, and my dad would like kind of stick up for me and like take me out of the house so I could get away from her. So I was like, oh, maybe like my dad will be understanding about this kind of stuff. So I came out to my dad one night. This was like March or something of 2017, something like that, in my sophomore year. And I came out to him like at night after volleyball practice, and we were just sitting in the car, and I told him, I was like, hey dad, I'm bisexual. And he was like, well, have you ever had sex with a guy? And I was like, no. He said, well, you never had sex with a girl either. I was like, no. He's like, then you can't be bisexual. If you haven't had sex, then you can't be bisexual. Or you can't like be a lesbian if you've never had sex. And I was like, by that, like, now I think of it now and I'm like, well, wouldn't that just make me ace if I've never had sex? So can I technically not know, so I'm ace? But that's funny, I just came to that realization. Anyway, so I came out to him in the car, and he sat there, and then he asked me the question about, have you ever fucked anybody? Or, excuse me, have you ever had sex with anybody? And I was like, no. And so he sat in the car a little bit more, and then he, like, just got out. And I was like, bruh, like, where you headed? You know? what? Yeah, anyway, he just got out of the car and, like, went in the house. So I was just like, okay. So I was like, Dad, what the hell? So I opened the door and I was like, Dad, what's going on? Like, why don't you talk to me? And he didn't talk to me. So I, like, went in the house and I went up to my room. I just kind of sat there. And then eventually, like, 3 hours or so later, he came up and gave me a very, very intense lecture / talk / yell fest about how, like, being gay is wrong and it's wrong by the Bible and it's devil's work and I'm consorting with the devil and, like, I'm putting our family in danger and I'm sacrificing my family for my, like, sex, like, sexual desire, and that I'm selfish and stuff like that. So I got a lot of those biblical roastings from then until, like, the summer, the beginning of the summer. He outed me to my mom. My mom eventually, like, came to me and talked to me about it, and she said, I'll always love you. But then she joined right in with those, like, roasting sessions. My dad would call me into his office, in, like, his, like, home office at random, and just say, Hannah, come here. And he would, like, that's my dead name, by the way. He'd say, Hannah, come here, and bring me into the room and, like, whip out a Bible, point me to the verses that said that being gay is wrong and that I'm going to hell and that, like, I'm with the devil. And he said, you know why I'm doing this? It's 'cause I love you and I never want you to put yourself in danger of going to hell, because I'm trying to protect you from the devil. So I love you and I'm teaching you about how you need to control your desires, because you're putting this family in danger and you could bring the devil. Oh yeah, that's one thing. He said you could bring the devil, or you are bringing the devil into our house by doing that. So my mom would say things where she would say, I love you, but, and then she would go into the Catholic stuff and go into devil work. My dad was a lot more preachy than my mom. My mom just said, like, we need to figure out how we can she would always say we need to figure out how we can control those desires, and I need to make sure that you find a nice guy who's going to treat you right, because you just haven't found the right guy, and, like, you just need to be loved. I didn't love you enough as a child. That's why you're gay. Anyway, so I got super depressed and I didn't know what to do with my life. So I cut with a pair of scissors. I don't have scissors in here, but basically it's just a standard pair of scissors. But I would, like, kind of do it as if I was lighting a match, where I would just, like, flick across my forearm. Y'all can, I don't know if you can see that, but this is just from the desk. I have scars here. I have some scars there. Anyway, my first time cutting, I remember, like, doing it with scissors is a lot more painful and a lot less visible, because it just looks like a surface wound, like it's not like a razor. It doesn't scar as easily, except for when you go, like, super deep. But I would cut, like, it would take, like, 15 or 16 15 plus, like, match lights with the blade of the, like, the tip. It was like the tip of the blade. So it was like that sharp bit that comes to, like, the 3 peaks of a scissor. And so I would just go like that. I can't believe I'm not crying right now. I'm just kind of dead inside. Anyway, just light the match. So I just kept doing it like down my arm, and like I would do one spot until I drew like a tiny bit of blood, and then I would stop because I didn't want anyone to see it. I just wanted me to escape the pain that I was feeling from the world by inflicting the pain on myself. Yeah. So I would go back the next day and the next day I would probably start a new cut, and then the day after that, like the third day, yeah, Jesus reference, I would I would go to the first cut I did 2 days ago, and I would reopen that wound, because like it didn't scar that bad. Like, these aren't that bad scars. This one, really bad. Yeah, you can even see it in the light. That was a bad one. I really went hard on that. That was a bad day. So I did not want to be alive, but I also was distracted by my sport, volleyball. Like, I really was distracted by it. I don't care how long this video is. I'm just going to keep talking because this all needs to get out. Anyway, I was distracted by like my sport, and I was like, oh, I need to do well in school. I still got, like, not to flex, but I still got like perfect grades. That was kind of like a really good distraction, was like volleyball and school and stuff like that. It was definitely weird because my dad would be the one that would take me to volleyball stuff. Like, we had travel tournaments and stuff like that. We would go to like a different state for like 4 days and just like play volleyball. So my dad was like my biggest supporter in like volleyball and stuff like that. But it was definitely difficult to go from him as the preacher to him as like the cool dad at the volleyball tournaments that would like support me and like get me smoothies and stuff. So that was super weird. I always felt that actually it did make me feel a lot more guilty about how I felt when he was berating me, because I thought of all the stuff and all the money that he spent on me and my sports and what I'm interested in. So, and like my schooling as well, because truly that school, like the homophobia and the white supremacy and shit like that was rampant. But I had such a good experience at that school because the programs they had there, and I eventually made like the best friends I ever had, like ever will have in my life. Like, we're gonna be friends forever. But like, I loved the programs there. I thought their classes were like amazing, but it also came with homophobia, so that was great. Anyway, I really got sidetracked there. Okay, yeah, I came out to my dad. Oh yeah, so I was in a really bad place and I wanted to die. And then I had this thing, so the Catholic Church does confirmation. My parents mandated that I became confirmed. So they had me go through our local church. We would go to church every Sunday, by the way, and I would always hear homophobic homilies. I don't know if that has to do with anything, but I'm just going to put that out there right now. They had like a sponsor program for like confirmation people, like prospective confirmation dudes. I don't remember the term. So I would, my cousin Clarice was my sponsor person, because she had been confirmed like a few years earlier. So, or not a few years earlier. So we were like sitting at dinner together and like about to start talking about like the confirmation stuff, and I said, in my head I was like, yo, I don't know how much longer I can be on this earth. Like, I hate myself and I hate my life and it sucks and I don't feel like I belong and I'm taking up space. So I was like, this is my last grasp for some sort of understanding from someone else. This is my lifeline. So I threw the lifeline out and I said, Clarice, I'm a lesbian. Like, I like girls. And I remember, this is at like a CP, like a California Pizza Kitchen, like by my house. And like, I remember like sitting at the like table, I think it was a booth, yeah. Sitting at the booth and just like looking at her. And I remember she like looked, sorry, I might start crying. She like looked at me and she was like, I know and I love you. And she saved my life. I don't know how much longer I would have been alive after that, but it wouldn't have been long if Clarice hadn't said that to me. And even though we were there to go, for me to be brainwashed back into the Catholic system and the vicious cycle that it is, Clarice saw my lifeline, reach out, and she grabbed the other end and she pulled me back. And she saved my life. So I never can express how much that meant to me when Clarice did that. Like, I can never tell her how much that meant. I don't think she knows how much it meant, because I don't think she knows how much pain I was in. If she ever sees this video, like, Clarice, I love you and you saved me. But I don't know how much longer I would have been here if it wasn't for her. I mean, I never would be sitting here right now, so. Anyway, Clarice told me that I was beautiful for who I am, and that I should never be ashamed, and that she was gonna love me no matter what, even if the whole fucking the whole family, like, didn't accept me. So, thank you, Clarice, if you're watching, ever. Anyway, so after that, I kind of eased off the cutting, and I slowly weaned off cutting entirely. I got really, really into queer literature, and, like, I watched so much, I, like, tried to watch as many, like animated, like, gay shows, or, like, if anyone's ever seen, or if anyone even watches this video, but I used to watch Carmilla on YouTube from Kinda TV. It's like, it's not, like, it's just the gayest little, it's like the most baby gay show there is. It's like lesbian vampire mystery series. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I watched Carmilla like 6 times. And I found a bunch of queer, like, comics. I love comics, so I found a bunch of, like queer literature and comics and stuff like that. On a Sunbeam, amazing. Still my favorite book. Oh man, there's a lot on Webtoon. Anyway, I went on Webtoon and, like, found all of them. That was the time. Oh, what is it? You Me Dream. The art, the story, very nice. Anyway, so yeah, and then I, like, had these tiny ass relationships with girls, like, 2 weeks long. We never kissed or anything, but I remember I was like, oh my gosh, I'm with a girl. Yeah, so I kind of started getting more comfortable with in my own skin. I came out to more people. Coming out was hard because it was at, like, that conservative Catholic school, so I was always kind of in a danger zone. When I came out, I was like, is this person homophobic? Like, am I safe to come out? Are they going to be telling people and stuff like that? And in some cases, yes, they would be homophobic and, like, mean. But in most cases, I had very good responses because I knew the people I was talking to. Like, I came out to my best friends. My whole group eventually knew I was gay and treated me no differently than they treated me before, because I'm pretty sure they all knew I was gay in the beginning. But anyway, then in the summer of 2018, this is a year later after the fiasco and Clarice's lifesaver, I worked at this summer camp, and I was in a relationship at that point. Like, it was like relatively serious. My now ex-girlfriend, we were in it was like 3 months in, and I had left to go work this summer job. It's gonna be hard to talk about. And there was this girl there who worked in, like, a different, like, department than I did, and she had been like making like subtle moves on me like all summer, probably just because I kind of radiate homosexual energy. Um, so she knew I was gay, and I wasn't subtle about my gayness. Like I would tell people, yeah, oh yeah, me and my girlfriend and stuff like that. So I wasn't like keep holding anything in. But yeah, one night we went. There was like a campfire thing, and she was like, "Oh, come get my hat with me from my room," and I was like, "Okay, all right. Like, why would you need me to get your hat? But okay." So I went to her room with her, and I think she thought it was consensual or something, but the um, it was not consensual sex. So after that, I fell back into a depression, and I started cutting again, back on these old scars. Oh, wait. I think I tried once on these, and then I went to my leg. But yeah, I was messed up after that pretty severely. I couldn't kiss my girlfriend at the time. Like, I couldn't even look at her, and I would feel so ashamed. I felt like I had done something wrong. So I thought my mom was better. I thought she was getting better with me and my sexuality. So I said, like, one day we were sitting in the car. Oh, they mandated me to go to this therapist that they really liked. They had been, like, this guy, I'm just going to say his name because he did. I didn't kill him. He died of, like, a heart disease. Anyway, Fred. They took me to Fred for therapy, where Fred would talk to me about, like, how he's like, oh, like, being gay isn't bad. You just can't act on it. Stuff like that. So he would literally just continue the brainwashing that my parents were teaching me. Anyway, so they would make me go every week, drive like 2 hours away to go see Fred, who was always late. Ugh, I hate when people are late. So I had to meet with Fred every week. And on the way home one day of driving to Fred's, after therapy, which was not even therapy, it was just worse than therapy. It's like opposite of therapy, doing mental damage. But after seeing Fred, I told my mom, I said, Mom, something happened this summer. She was like, oh, what? Like, you got a promotion? Some shit like that. And I was like, no, Mom. There was a girl, and she did things to me that I wasn't okay with. And she said, Hannah, you have a girlfriend. And I was like, yeah. This girl did something to me that I wasn't okay with. Like, and my mom said, like, sexually? And I was like, yeah, Mom. And she was like, well, it's clear that you were just fishing around. You obviously were asking for it. That's what you lesbians do, right? And so I told her, no, Mom, she hurt me and I didn't want it. And she said, well, Hannah, you should have pushed her away or stood up for yourself. Because in the moment, I froze. I've never felt like this before, and I never want to feel it again in my life. But in the moment when it happened, I didn't feel like I could do anything. I felt like I was paralyzed. I like felt like a dead piece of, I don't know, driftwood or something, just dead. I felt like I was out of my body. Like, not even, like, I didn't even feel anything. I just felt not with myself. Like, my soul had left my body. There we go. Not as like an expression, like, actually. Anyway, my mom said, why didn't you push her away? And I was like, Mom, I froze. I didn't know what to do. And she said, well, Hannah, we've talked to you about what to do if a guy ever does that. Which is true. She would brief me on this, like, for years about if a guy ever tried to touch me. And I was like, Mom, okay. And then she was like, well, do you have any more to say? And I was like, no. And so that was that. We put on a jazz music station and sat in silence until she started talking about like some billboard. So I didn't tell people about that because I felt so ashamed for a long time, and I couldn't do stuff with my girlfriend or my ex or girlfriend at the time, because I felt guilty as if it was my fault that this that the summer girl did that stuff to me. But eventually I got over it. I left for college, and now, I mean, I went through some weird hookup phase, like everyone does in college. So I went through that weird hookup phase, and now I'm in like a healthy and happy relationship, and I feel a lot more comfortable and proud of myself. Sometimes I do still struggle with like the sexual assault, but like oftentimes I feel really good. Of course, there's people that don't accept like when I'm super like out. I don't care. I don't filter myself anymore because I filtered myself for literally like 17 years of my life way back in the day. So I literally am just open about it. I get backlash, especially I also get it from my team. There's other queer girls on my team, and they aren't as out as me. Like they aren't just an open gay book, so they kind of not really super into me being super gay, but fuck them. Anyway, I mean, whatever to them. Okay, now time for part 2. The full meat of the story, and it's already been 32 minutes. I'm so sorry. Here comes the trans. So, number 2, origins of trans. That's what I titled this section. So, I said this already before. I never really felt like I fit in with the other girls in the sense of, I never really felt like I liked the guys. But I also didn't feel like I fit the stereotype of like the gender roles. Not saying that this should be what gender roles are, but the gender roles of, like a traditional like little girl even, and to a traditional like female. So with that comes like my mom loved making her little girl be as girly as she possibly could because she thought it was super cute and it was super good to show her friends and her mom and stuff like that. So she put me in pink stuff, dresses. She always is, with me it's the hair, Jesus. So she always like did my hair. I hated every second of her doing my hair because she would do it in the most girly way. And I remember when I was a little kid, I would just let my hair free. Like just like a fluff ball. I'll put a picture, if I ever do edit this video, I'll put a picture in here. But like a massive poof ball of hair, just wild. Then my mom would take control of my hair and put it in braids or little clips of butterflies or stuff. Just terrible. God. And then eventually it transitioned to because I liked my hair as like a puffball, she would put it in a ponytail. So then eventually I was like, Mom, can you like put in a ponytail more? She's like, oh, my baby likes her girly cut or her girly hairdo. And then eventually I learned how to put in my own like ponytail. So I would never take my hair out of a ponytail. And she was like, Hannah, you need to wear your hair down. Like, it looks pretty. You don't look like a girl. You look like some weird hybrid. Like, you need to take your hair out of the ponytail. It was the worst look. I wore it down like at the bottom of my neck, like right here. It was like a squirrel, like a tuft of squirrel tail. It was just hideous. But I remember I would always put it there because I never wanted to like let my mom control my hair, but she still did, of course. Anyway, I didn't fit with girls I never have fit with like girls, like just in the most stereotypical way, in the most gender role, society standard way. I've never fit with the other girls, especially my volleyball team and the people that were at my school. Like, I always felt like an outcast, and I really was. It was something innate about me that like couldn't really be described, but I just didn't fit. So I tried desperately to become as femme and as girly, sorry for using that word, but as girly by social standards as possible. So I would like wear, I would try to like wear like cis girl clothes, you know, like crop tops and like cute clothes and stuff like that. It looked horrible on me. It looked like a bear wearing a tutu. Like, it was just the worst. So I tried desperately hard for years, for like 2 or 3 years of my life, to try to fit in. No, I'd say 3 or 4 years actually, to try and like fit their mold of like a girl, because I wanted so bad to fit in. My mom perpetuated that with telling me what I needed to do with my hair. She would teach me makeup. The only makeup I know how to do, people are gonna laugh, but mascara. So I would like put on mascara and I would feel so like, wow, I am not myself, but this is what people want. So anyway, I would put on like mascara and stuff. Then, excuse me, I realized I was becoming like more and more unhappy, and more like I felt like I had lost my identity. So I left the volleyball club team that I was on. They were pretty toxic. I left them for a different team, and I kind of like tried to be more myself. Like, I'm kind of quirky. I like reading comic books. I like building Legos. Like, I love Adventure Time, stuff like that. Like, I'm goofy. I'm weird. And so I was like, I'm gonna just try to be authentically myself. But I realized like I'd lost myself. So I started wearing what I wanted to wear. My mom was not okay with that. She would notice me wearing more shorts and t-shirts. She was like, Hannah, your whole wardrobe is all just t-shirts and shorts. Where are the girly clothes? So not to be like prissy or whatever, because like this is kind of a flex, but she would take me to like the store to go buy clothes. Like, she would take me to like Old Navy and stuff like that, and like try to find me the girliest outfits. Like, it was mandated. It was part of like the mandated mother-daughter time that she would have me do with her. Like, she would literally have like mandated time. Like, she would say, Hannah, it's mother-daughter day, and I would just be like, fuck me. Jesus. And then she would be like, oh no, come on, yeah. So she would force me to go shopping and find cis girl clothes, and I just felt more and more and more dysphoric in those clothes. I remember in the like dressing room, I started crying one time because I looked like in the mirror at myself, and I was like, who are you? Why are you wearing these clown clothes? Like, I felt so not myself. My hair was down. I like had makeup on, and I had like this skirt and like this cute little shirt on, and I was so sad, like dysphoric as hell. So I was, of course, as much as I can, I slowly started to wear like more masculine clothes. So I would wear, the school uniform was skirts or shorts, like these hideous khaki shorts, or you could wear a plaid skirt. And you damn bet that I wore that shorts every day. I would wear like shorts and then like the most loose polo. Like, it was like a Catholic schools. It was like some fancy polo. So I wore like the most loose I could to like give off the impression that I didn't have a big chest. Oh, that's also another thing. My friends would compare chest sizes, and they'd be like, oh my gosh, my boobs are like the biggest. But I was always like, I don't want big boobs. Like, dude, I don't want boobs. Like, boobs suck. They get in the way, they swing around. Like, I don't want that. So, anyway, I would always try to give the illusion that I had like a smaller chest. I wore t shirts, stuff like that. I never really understood why I didn't want to have a chest and why I wanted to like look like the guys until I realized, like, bruh, trans. But, um, like, I didn't want to look female. I also didn't want to look like a dude. So I kind of like was in between, but I was more on the dude side. Anyway, so I tried to avoid femme clothes in general. At my senior prom, I begged. Oh, I'll go back to the hair thing. Going back to the hair thing. So, hair here in the dysphoria standpoint was huge. The worst dysphoria I ever have had in my life was about my hair. And I know it seems small, but my hair was a huge factor in how I felt about myself. Because my mom controlled what I did with my hair, and my hair, like hair is like stuck to your head. When people look at you, they also see your hair. Like, people look you in the face, in the eyes, they're seeing your hair too. So I had hair that would go down to here, curly, like my hair is now. But my mom, I kept begging her to let me cut it, especially after I came out. I was like, whoa, I like don't feel so femme, like I don't feel so good with this long hair. Excuse me. My sister had a short haircut. She got a pixie. It was not the best look for her by any means, but anyway, she got a pixie cut 2 years before I did. When I asked my mom after my sister got her short haircut, I was like, hey mom, like, I want one too. Sorry. So after my sister got her short haircut, I was like, hey mom, like, can I have a short haircut too? Because Elena just got one. Like, what's wrong with me getting one if Elena could get one? And she was like, no, I specifically didn't want you to get a short haircut because that'll really make you look gay, like make you look like a lesbian. And we have your sister, that puts your sister in a tough position because her friends' parents will probably not be super okay that her sister is like a lesbian and is different and doesn't fit into our church like group anymore. So we don't want you to get a short haircut because you'll look too butch. Oh, and she also said you'll look like a boy and stuff like that. And I was like, it took 2 years of convincing for her to finally let me get a short haircut to here. Oh wait, no, this is a year and a half. She let me get a short haircut, like a bob, and she said, we're just gonna test the waters with the short haircut. So I got a bob and I felt better, but I felt like kind of okay, but I didn't feel all the way myself. I didn't feel natural. Like, it still felt like truly, I did still have long hair. It's stupid that hair has such a big impact with like my mental health and my dysphoria, but huge. I was so unhappy with my hair. I would look at myself in the mirror and be like, God damn it, how do I still have long hair? Anyway, with the bob, it was a little better. I tried to style it kind of ish, as like gay as I possibly could. I put like one behind an ear or something, but I still felt very female. Like, I still felt very off. Like, I wasn't myself. Finally, in the middle of the 2018 summer, when I worked at that summer camp, she finally let me get the haircut. She went to this place, like this lady, super nice, like great lady, but her hairstylist was like a friend of a friend. The hairstylist she like took me to was like a friend of a friend. So she had already talked to my mom before I went in for the haircut. So my mom grilled her on like, this haircut needs to look feminine because I don't want my baby Hannah to look like a boy and for people to make fun of her. I still want her to pass as like a girl and like not to look and to like not look so much like a lesbian, probably was what was said, but it definitely was said that she wants me to look like a girl. So, the haircut, I'll put a picture in if I ever edit this. The haircut was good. It was short. So I loved it. I was like, holy crap, my hair is finally short. I feel so much better. Then it started to grow out, and like it was like a pixie cut still. Like it was still a pixie cut, but I was like, I want it shorter. Like I want it shorter on the sides. I want it how I want it designed. Like this. Like I feel like this is like a pretty good explanation of like what I wanted. Like a pretty good example of my dream haircut to feel at most comfortable with myself. Like the most comfortable I could have been with my hair. But every time like my mom would take me to this one hairdresser and she would like grill the poor lady like, you cannot cut her hair shorter than I say. And so I just kept getting like this similar cut every time. So that was really unfortunate. Until I finally graduated high school. Oh, one thing. I wore a jumpsuit to prom because I refused to wear a dress, and I looked boss as hell. I looked good. Just saying. That was the most I've ever pulled off a like girl clothes. That was definitely, I looked good. Not to flex, but put a picture in if I ever edit this. Yes. So after I graduated high school, I went to like my college let me get haircuts on campus. So I got the haircut I wanted, and it was short on the sides, and I felt so good. And I slowly started to feel more free, like free away from my like parents, like big brother kind of constant surveillance and control of my life because I was across the country from them. But my mom still had a big hold on me. Like she would guilt trip me into like doing these weekly calls and stuff like that. And I remember all week I would just dread it. So I still felt like I was wrong and gross and like I wasn't fitting their standards of like a daughter and stuff like that. A daughter, I know. But it got better. The more time I spent away from them, the more the like happier I got, and the more comfortable with like myself, and my haircut was. I felt very comfortable with like my hair, and like that contributed to less dysphoria. The uniforms at my school, they are like separated between male and female uniforms. There are some certain distinctions. So that made me feel a little bit dysphoric. Like I felt like I wasn't fitting in like the girls did, like with their like the cis girls all definitely looked very feminine in those uniforms, but I looked like a weasel wearing like cowboy boots. Like kind of, what's off about that? Is that a guy or girl? Oh, girl uniform, guy hair, guy looking, boobs, Anyway, so I felt weird wearing those uniforms. I never really felt good, like confident in those uniforms because I was like, well, I should look like them, but I don't, and like I don't look like the guys because I don't have their uniform. Anyway, so then the corona hit and I had to go home after spring break, and that's when it got ugly. So I got back into my house and it was dysphoric and it was homophobic and it was just Catholic and gross. So I had a little bit more freedom. My mom allowed me some more freedoms when I got home. Like she let me bring my phone upstairs. I know that sounds like a tiny thing, but it was huge. That was like a huge moment. She let me bring my phone upstairs, stuff like that, which was nice. She like let me watch TV when I wanted to instead of like when she allowed it. So sorry, I'm going on a tangent here. This is just kind of to give the idea of how like big brother she is. Um, so I met this girl. We're dating still. She's great. But Audrey Audrey helped me see what they were doing to me and why it was making me feel so sad and dysphoric and like I hated myself, and why I didn't feel like I deserved to be living in their house, or like why I felt so terrible. So I put in a proposal for me to go back to my college to get out of my house, and my objective was not to tell my family. I told my sister, but I didn't want to tell my parents because I just wanted to officially cut them out, because maybe if I cut them, excuse me, I thought maybe if I cut my parents away from me, I can start to grow in myself and not feel like I'm burdened by their weight on my shoulders and them always watching me, like them sitting right here watching everything I do, you know? I thought maybe if I sever the tie, I can finally like be free, you know? I use the analogy of like when I wrote a letter to my parents when I left. Audrey helped me write it. And I talked about how like not healthy it was for me to be there, and how it started bringing back like my mental health problems that I used to have in high school to be at their house, because I felt so alien and still so wrong, even though the words that came out of their mouths weren't the preachy anymore. They stopped preaching to me, but I could still, my dad wouldn't be in the same room with Audrey and I when we were together, ever. The most he said to her was, "Hi, like, I'm Mike, nice to meet you. How you doing? Oh, that's good." Walked away. Boom. He is still so homophobic, and like, I understand it's hard for them, but this is like, if you really want to be like, oh, that's my kid, I'm gonna brag about the college that my kid goes to and stuff like that, but I'm not gonna love the kid who I have authentically. Like, that's so hypocritical. Anyway, I finally severed the tie. My mom figured out that I was leaving, and she called me out on it, and she got really mad. And I was like, well, that's not helping me stay, if you're wondering. Like, that's kind of counterintuitive. So I left. Audrey took me to the airport, and I was like, goodbye, home. Like, house, not home. So my mom and my dad tried to contact me and stuff. My extended family also were guilt tripping me like crazy. They're like, you shouldn't leave grandma. My grandma has dementia, so they're like, you shouldn't leave grandma, like not knowing that, like, she doesn't know where you are. She's really worried about you. Please pick up the phone, call Aunt Clara, like, pick up the phone, call Aunt Connie. And I was like, that's great. So I had to talk to my grandma, and then, but I tried to limit the calls to just my grandma. I felt like the guilt was definitely there, and the guilt still is there for cutting them out, because they bought stuff for me, and like they supported my life for 19 or 18 years. So I feel bad that like I'm cutting them out, but I think for my mental health and for me becoming authentically who I am, and as like me as a person, like becoming, like breaking out of the cocoon and becoming a butterfly, I need to be away from them and not be with them ever again. I won't be going home for Christmas. I'm not. I'm going to live with Audrey for Christmas. Like, I know it's horrible, but I need to become myself and not be constrained by people who've hurt me. So anyway, I started binding, actually. after I came back, there was a 2 week quarantine period, and that gave me time to really reflect on the fact that I had left and start thinking about, okay, now that I can actually be my authentic self, who am I? In high school, I briefly came out as trans masculine. So I said, like, I'm like a butchy or lesbian, essentially, but like swinging kind of towards the guy side. I did not get good responses there. I mean, of course, my best friends right now gave good responses. They were like, we're supportive of you and stuff like that. But I was not, like, received well, and so I thought, oh, it must be just a phase, like, I'm fine. So I had dabbled in the arena of coming out as trans and like kind of feeling more comfortable with myself in that respect, but the like idea of me potentially being like either trans masculine or like non-binary or even like identifying as male, I don't think I would, but definitely non-binary would be kind of an arena I would go towards. I had that 2 week period that I was stuck in my room in quarantine to like reflect on who I was. And so I watched like Miles McKenna's videos, who was great. Like his videos that talked about like truly like his experiences coming out and like kind of realizing himself, I felt less alone and less that I was the only one feeling the way I was feeling. Like Miles helped me see through his videos that like a lot of other like trans people feel the same way that I'm feeling, and like the guilt and like the stuff like that, the isolation. So I watched Miles's videos and I was like, hey, like there's a high chance that like I kind of feel like I'm definitely not female. Like I don't feel female, and I haven't felt female for a long time. Like didn't even feel female at my most outer female, like my femaleist, if that's a word, like when I used to dress like a classic white chick, you know? So I like looked up videos of like binding with tape, and I tried it for the first time like probably 2 weeks ago, and I felt so good. And Audrey was on the FaceTime call. She was like on FaceTime while I was binding for the first time with KT tape. Here, I'll show what it looks like. So like this is me. Like I bound with tape. It doesn't look super good. I'm not very talented at it yet, but like I like the side profile here. Like it looks so flat. Look at that. But anyway, so I bound for the first time and I showed Audrey, and I remember I was like so excited. I was just like jumping up and down. I was like, oh my gosh, like I feel me. I feel so authentic. And I pulled my shirt to the side like this. Here, let me put my shirt on and show y'all. Like I pulled the shirt down like this, and I looked at myself on the side, and of course there's still like boob, but like I looked like flat, like a guy, like pecs. Like it was pecs, it wasn't boobs. And I looked at myself and I was like, that's you. That's you, man. You know? So I'm coming out right now as non-binary. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I don't know if I am going to get top surgery, or if I'm going to get, like, if I'm going to go on T or anything like that. All I know right now is that coming out to people is going to be a hell of a journey. This might be a like controversial topic, but coming out as trans seems much more difficult to me, at least right now, than coming out as a lesbian. I still identify as lesbian, by the way. I don't know what I'll call myself, probably just queer when I transition. If I transition, I don't know. But I mean, I refer to myself as gay, as queer, as a lesbian, like, I don't know. But it's a lot harder to tell people, hey, I'm non-binary, please use they, them pronouns and go by my, like, preferred name, Eli, my name, not by my dead name. It feels so good to finally be in control. Like, I feel when I say to someone, like, if I ever did get out of, my college is locked down, so if I ever was able to go outside and go order food at like Starbucks or something, to say, hey, like, my name's Eli, can you put that on my order? Not, I'm Hannah, you know? That would be amazing, because I feel like I'm finally taking control of who I am without the constraints. I mean, the college, there is some constraints, but it's not as bad as it used to be. Like, finally taking control of myself and becoming me authentically, I feel so free. Like, a big weight is off my shoulders. There's still some weight and a lot of fear. A lot of fear. I'm afraid of what people are going to say when they see my tape. My teammates still haven't seen my tape yet. Like, when I bind, the KT tape wraps around the back, and in the pool, like, it's visible in my swimsuit. I'm, of course, afraid to come out to them, like, by them seeing the tape, but I feel so me when I bind, and when I hear my name, when my best friends and when Audrey say Eli instead of the dead name. It feels so good. My dream for myself, my goal in the future, I think I do want top surgery. My goal in the future is to get top surgery and to officially change my name. Because I feel like that'll be the final goodbye from my parents and how they bore down on me for 19 years. It finally will be the final push and say, the name that you gave me at birth doesn't even fit who I am. I'm Eli. I'm not Hannah. I'm not your little baby because you treated me like shit. Like, that, it's gonna feel so good. So that's my goal. And I guess that's the end of this very long, hour and 2 minute long video.